Hello, my name is Ernie Schroeder Sr. I'm with Jeff Smith & Sons. We are cotton merchants here in Bakersfield, California. Jeff Smith & Sons was founded in 1943 by Jeff Smith. After he passed away, his son Leo owned the company, and I bought Jeff Smith & Sons from him in the early 1980s. Today, our company is owned by my son, Ernie Schroeder Jr. Over the years, our company has grown from a smaller cotton company into a truly international cotton merchandising operation. We handle all U.S. growth and on many occasions foreign growth. We have representatives throughout the U.S. Cotton Belt and agencies in all the major cotton importing countries. I was born in a small town by the name of Hoya, about 30 miles south of Bremen, Germany. I got into the cotton industry strictly by chance. I was offered a position as an apprentice with a cotton company by the name of Hans Hermann Becker at the Cotton Exchange in Bremen. And over the next 3 years, I was taught the basics of the cotton trade. During the 1950s and 60s, a lot of young men left Bremen to go overseas and learn the export part of the business to gain experience. The idea was to come back to Germany and get a job with a cotton company or a spinning mill or any other cotton-related businesses. I had the same idea. However, what we did not plan on was the fact that we liked it so much that we all stayed. Most of us wound up in the United States, in Central or South America. Case in point, a gentleman by the name of Carl Peter Blank. Carl Peter was ahead of me by 1 year working for Hans Hermann Becker, so he finished his apprenticeship a year before I did. And he moved from there to first to Lubbock, I believe, and then to Guatemala City, where he has been for over 40 years. Carl Peter is now the agent for Central and part of South America for Jeff Smith & Sons. Companies like Hornberg, Wheel Brothers, Volcart, Esteve, Bunge, H. Moulton and Company, Cotton Export and Import Company, these are the companies that made it all possible for us to go overseas. After I worked for the cooperative here in Bakersfield for about 2 years, a gentleman by the name of Jack Biggers, he happened to be their sales manager, came to me one day and asked me if I would be interested in going to work for a local cotton company by the name of Jeff Smith & Sons. Mr. Biggers is the one that introduced me to Leo Smith. I went for an interview and started to work for Jeff Smith & Sons in the fall of 1965. For the next 2 years, I was taught the cotton trade, and I became involved in all aspects of the business. In 1967, Mr. Leo Smith promoted me to cotton buyer, and that is a position that I really enjoyed. I made some suggestions relative to how we were handling our grower business, and we made some changes, and Jeff Smith & Sons was really not involved in the export business at all. It only had a domestic business and handled only California cotton for the domestic mills. Through my contacts in Europe, I was able to establish an export business with Europe and shortly thereafter with the Far East, namely Japan and Korea. I believe 1967 was also the year where the New York Cotton Exchange implemented the No. 2 contract. So futures trading became part of our business again, even though it basically did not have any speculative interest and prices stayed basically around the 30-40 cent range until about 1973. That's when cotton went to $1 a pound and things were starting to change. The industry became a lot more modern. By that I mean computers. Everybody had computers in their businesses now. We went from sending telegrams to instant communications, module builders and module haulers. came into play. Gin switched from flat bales to gin high D bales. That meant we could ship cotton basically direct from the gin yard to the port or domestic without having to have the cotton pressed again at the warehouse. So steam presses were out. We went from bulk shipments to container shipments, all changes that I feel were very positive. But also over the next, I would say 20 years, the market started to change a little bit. Domestic mills had a lot more difficult time to compete with yarn imports or finished goods. So the market started changing from domestic more into the export scene. And since we have made these changes already in the middle to later part of the 60s, we were prepared for this and increased our export business dramatically to a point where today, basically our export business is 99% of our business. In summary, I think we could say that the business went from a hands-on business to a technology-driven business, which I think is very good because it allows us, especially us as merchants, to handle a lot more cotton worldwide with a lot less manpower. Since 1973, futures trading increased drastically. The speculative increased dramatically. So risk management became a very important part of our business, and especially today. If I look at the future of cotton, I think it's very positive. Let's look at the facts. In 1960, when I started out in the cotton trade, world consumption was 46 million bales. And everybody told me not to go in the cotton business because nylon shirt just came out. And that was supposed to be the end of the cotton business. Well, nothing could have been further from the truth. And today we are consuming 120 million bales. And the world population is now 7 billion and growing. So all this tells me that the consumption of cotton is going to continue to grow. I think the future is very bright, and Jeff Smith & Sons is going to be part of that future. California, I think the outlook here is also positive. Yes, we used to produce 3 million bales, and now we're down to 1 million bales. However, we are producing a certain crop that's called Pima cotton and long stable Acela varieties. California has the perfect climate for this type of cotton, and the demand for this is growing. The production is growing up. Where we used to produce 2 million bales of cotton, we are now at 3 million bales. That's the norm. And in many cases, we are producing 4 million bales. So the growers that stayed with cotton farming in California, in my opinion, shall do extremely well. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to become part of the cotton industry in the 1960s. It's a wonderful industry, very exciting. Sometimes, obviously, I could have done with a lot of less excitement. I was given the opportunity to serve as president of the American Cotton Shippers Association. For that, I'm very grateful. By the way, there were 2 other gentlemen that came from Bremen, Germany, who also served as president of the American Cotton Shippers Association, namely Mr. Peter Hirschfeld and Manfred Schiefer. And also a very special thank you to the Memphis Cotton Museum for allowing me to make a few remarks about my involvement in the cotton industry, the cotton trade in particular. Thank you very much.